In 2015, the world gave itself 15 years to fix almost everything. Poverty, hunger, dirty water, inequality, climate change, collapsing ecosystems, bad jobs, weak institutions, the oceans, the forests, education, health, peace, which was ambitious, and it's now 2026. So this is where the Sustainable Development Goals get interesting, because from a distance, they can look like the most harmless thing on Earth. 17 colourful little squares, the sort of things that end up on corporate reports, university web pages, conference banners, and government PDFs that nobody reads unless they're being paid to. But the SDGs were never supposed to be wallpaper. They were supposed to be the world's shared survival checklist. They were adopted by all United Nations member states in 2015 as part of the 2030 Agenda. There were 17 goals and 169 targets, covering people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership. And the idea was simple enough. By 2030, the world should be far less poor, far less hungry, far less unequal, far less destructive, and far more prepared for the future. So 4 years out from the deadline, how are we doing? Not good. The latest official UN scorecard says only 35% of SDG targets with enough data are either on track or making moderate progress. Nearly half are moving too slowly, and 18% have gone backwards. That's the global development equivalent of handing in a group assignment where one person did the references, one person made the title page, and the rest of the group appears to have joined the fossil fuel lobby. But the failure isn't evenly spread. Since 2015, more people have access to electricity, more children have entered school, some health outcomes have improved, child labour has fallen, social protection has expanded. There are real people alive today, learning today, working more safely today because progress did happen. So the SDGs aren't fake. The problem is that progress is too slow, too fragile, and too easy to reverse. Take poverty. More than 800 million people still live in extreme poverty. That's nearly 1 in 10 people on Earth trying to survive on almost nothing. And the world is not on track to end extreme poverty by 2030. Then hunger. Nearly 1 in 11 people face hunger in 2023, while more than 2 billion people experienced moderate to severe food insecurity. That means the SDG called Zero Hunger is not gently drifting behind schedule. It's failing in a world that produces enough food, but still can't reliably get food to the people who need it. And that's where the SDGs start to reveal something uncomfortable. We know that clean water saves lives. We know that education changes futures. We know that stable income reduces poverty. We know that vaccines work, that burning fossil fuels heats the planet, that destroying ecosystems eventually comes back with a bill attached. The world doesn't lack knowledge. It lacks enough political courage, money, coordination, and honesty to act on the knowledge it already has. Look at water sanitation. In 2024, 2.2 billion people still lacked safely managed drinking water. Billions still lacked safely managed sanitation and basic hygiene. And that sentence should be humiliating. We have artificial intelligence writing emails nobody asked for, billionaires planning private space adventures, and endless apps optimizing to steal 2 more seconds of our attention. But billions of people still do not have safe water and sanitation. That's not a technology problem, that's a priority problem. Then there's climate. The SDGs include climate action as goal 13, but climate is not just one goal among 17. Climate change sits over the whole thing like a heat lamp. A hotter planet makes food less secure. It makes water stress worse, it increases disasters, it damages health, it drives migration, it makes conflict more likely, it makes poverty harder to escape. The World Meteorological Organization says 2015 to 2025 were the 11 hottest years on record. So very neatly, the entire SDG era has also been the hottest decade plus ever recorded. While the world was promising sustainable development, the physical conditions for sustainable development were getting harder. And that's the central tension. You can't end hunger on a destabilized climate. You can't protect health systems if disasters keep smashing them. You can't build peaceful societies while people are being forced from their homes by war, drought, floods, hunger, and economic collapse. You can't treat climate as a side project and then act surprised when it eats the rest of the list. The oceans tell a similar story. In January 2026, the High Seas Treaty entered into force. That's genuinely important. It creates a legal framework to protect marine biodiversity in areas beyond national jurisdiction, the huge parts of the ocean that do not belong to any country. That's a real win for global cooperation, but it arrives while oceans are under immense pressure from warming, acidification, overfishing, plastic pollution, and biodiversity loss. It's a pattern. Some things work, but the destructive machine keeps moving faster. And then there's money. This is where the whole thing gets especially grim. Developing countries face a massive SDG financing gap. Debt servicing costs are crushing many low and middle income countries, and in 2025, official development assistance from major donors fell by 23.1%, the largest annual contraction on record. So rich countries are effectively saying, yes, the deadline is close, yes, the world is off track, yes, poverty, hunger, climate, debt and displacement are getting worse in many places, but we're not going to pay for it. And to be fair, money alone won't fix SDGs. There are governance problems, corruption problems, conflict problems, policy problems, and consumption problems. But without money, the goals become theatre. A target without funding is just a wish with a logo. The regional picture makes this even clearer. In Asia and the Pacific, the 2026 UN SCAP report says the region is on track to achieve only 14 of 117 measurable targets. That means 103 are expected to be missed. And Europe, which often likes to imagine itself as the responsible adult in the room, isn't on track either. The 2026 Europe Sustainable Development Report says SDG progress has stalled across Europe, and no European country has fully achieved or is on track to achieve all 17 SDGs. And SDGs are supposed to be universal. It's not a checklist for poor countries. Rich countries have cleaner streets, stronger institutions, better hospitals and higher incomes, but they also have enormous consumption footprints. A country can look sustainable inside its own borders while importing the damage from somewhere else. The emissions happen elsewhere, the mining happens elsewhere, the labour exploitation happens elsewhere, and the waste is shipped elsewhere. The biodiversity loss is hidden in supply chains. So if a wealthy country scores well at home while pushing the environmental and human cost abroad, that's not sustainability. It's just outsourcing the mess. And this is why SDGs are both useful and deeply frustrating. They're useful because they give us a shared language. They let people say, you promised to reduce poverty, you promised to protect ecosystems, you promised clean water, you promised decent work. They give activists, researchers, journalists, communities, and even decent people inside governments a way to measure the gap between speeches and reality. But they're frustrated because the SDGs themselves don't force anyone to do the hard part. They don't force countries to cut fossil fuel emissions. They don't force billionaires to pay fair tax. They don't force companies to stop using sustainability language as camouflage, nor make rich countries reduce overconsumption. A major review in Nature Sustainability found that the SDGs have had some political effects, especially in the way institutions talk about sustainability, but only limited transformative impact so far. In plain English, the SDGs changed the vocabulary faster than they changed the world. And you can see that everywhere. A company puts the SDG wheel in its annual report while lobbying against stronger environmental rules. A government announced climate ambition while approving new fossil fuel projects. A university hosts a sustainability summit while investing in the systems that make sustainability harder. A brand says it supports responsible consumption while depending on people buying more things more often, forever. The language improved, but the machine kept running. So have the Sustainable Development Goals failed? Not completely, but they are failing. They helped focus the world, they helped measure progress, and they helped create pressure. And in a way, they've helped connect poverty, climate, health, education, biodiversity, gender equality, and peace into one bigger story. But a map isn't the same thing as the journey, and right now the world has a map to 2030, but it's still driving in the wrong direction. The next 4 years won't deliver all 17 goals. That's the uncomfortable truth. But the goals still matter. Every child in school, every person with clean water, every forest not cleared, every ton of carbon not emitted, every community protected from natural disaster, every worker treated with dignity, every political decision that chooses life over extraction, all these things matter. The SDGs were supposed to be a promise. In 2026, they look more like a warning that good intentions aren't enough. Branding isn't progress. Delay has consequences. And the future doesn't become sustainable just because someone put the word sustainable on a report. They may have promised to fix everything by 2030, and they won't. But that doesn't mean the promise should be abandoned. It means we stop pretending the promise is being kept, and then we fight, like the deadline is real. Because it is. Links to sources are in the description. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching.